everyone thought they already knew how FIFA World Cup 2026 would unfold. Argentina were the defending champions. France had the deepest squad in football. Brazil looked ready to end more than 2 decades of disappointment. Spain were the fastest rising team in the world. England believed this could finally be their moment. Before a single ball was kicked, millions of fans were already predicting the same handful of nations to lift football's biggest trophy. But after watching the opening stages of this tournament, something feels different. Not because the favorites are losing, but because they no longer look untouchable. For the first time in years, every giant has shown cracks. Every underdog believes they have a chance. And that might be the biggest story of FIFA World Cup 2026. Because history has taught us something football fans keep forgetting. World Cups aren't won by the strongest team on paper. They're won by the team that adapts when everything stops going according to plan. And that's exactly what almost everyone has missed. Let's begin. Before the tournament, there was one word everyone kept using. Favorites. Argentina, France, Brazil, England, Spain. Every prediction revolved around them. And for good reason. Each of these nations arrived with world-class players, elite managers, and genuine ambitions of becoming world champions. But once the tournament started, reality looked very different. Argentina still showed the quality of defending champions, but they also looked vulnerable. France continued producing moments of brilliance, yet even they haven't looked unbeatable. Brazil still has incredible individual talent, but the same questions about consistency continue to follow them. England have one of the deepest squads in international football, yet the pressure surrounding them hasn't disappeared. And Spain, perhaps the most exciting young team in football, has discovered that controlling a match doesn't always mean winning it. The truth is simple. Every favorite still looks capable of winning this World Cup, but none of them look perfect. And that's a much bigger problem than people realize. Because the World Cup has never rewarded perfection. It rewards survival. One mistake, one injury, one incredible save. That's all it takes to change a tournament. And that's exactly why something else has quietly happened. Something much bigger than any single result. For decades, international football followed the same script. The giants attacked, the smaller nations defended, and everyone expected the favorites to win. But that script is slowly disappearing. Modern football has changed. Today's underdogs are no longer filled with players from unknown leagues. Many of them play in Europe's biggest competitions. They train with world-class coaches. They face elite attackers every single week. By the time they arrive at the World Cup, they're no longer intimidated by famous shirts. And that changes everything, because football has always been as much mental as tactical. The moment an underdog steps onto the pitch believing they belong, the favorite loses one of its biggest advantages. That's why this tournament feels different. The so-called smaller nations aren't playing to survive anymore. They're playing to win. They're pressing higher, defending with confidence, taking more risks, and most importantly, they're refusing to fear the biggest names in football. That's made every match more competitive, and it's forcing the favorites to work much harder than many people expected. If you ask most fans which team is dominating, they usually look at one statistic: possession. The team with 70% of the ball must be controlling the game, right? Not necessarily, because possession doesn't win World Cups. Goals do. Modern international football has become incredibly organized. Teams are defending deeper, protecting central areas, closing passing lanes, waiting patiently for one mistake, and that's creating a completely different tournament. We've already seen matches where one team controlled almost everything, yet couldn't find the breakthrough. Not because they lack talent, but because tournament football is brutally unforgiving. One goalkeeper can change everything. One defensive block can frustrate an entire attack. One counterattack can erase 90 minutes of dominance. That's why statistics often tell only half the story. The scoreboard tells the rest. And perhaps that's the biggest lesson of FIFA World Cup 2026 so far. The best football isn't always the team with the most possession. It's the team that understands when to suffer, when to stay patient, and when to strike. Because the deeper this tournament goes, the less room there is for mistakes. And history tells us that's exactly when World Cups become unforgettable. So, what exactly did everyone miss? It wasn't Argentina, it wasn't Spain, it wasn't Brazil, and it wasn't one shocking result. The biggest story of FIFA World Cup 2026 is much simpler. There are no unbeatable teams anymore. Every favorite has looked vulnerable. Every underdog believes they can compete. And that's changing the tournament in ways most people never expected. Because football has entered a new era. Talent alone is no longer enough. A famous badge is no longer enough. A superstar is no longer enough. To become world champion, you need something far more valuable. Adaptability. The teams that survive difficult moments. The teams that stay calm under pressure. The teams that solve problems faster than everyone else. Those are the teams that lift the trophy, not necessarily the ones everyone predicted before the tournament began. That's why every match feels different. Every knockout game feels dangerous. Every mistake feels bigger. And every underdog steps onto the pitch believing history can be made. Maybe that's exactly why this World Cup already feels so unpredictable. Not because football has changed, but because the gap between the world's best teams and everyone else has become smaller than ever before. So who will win FIFA World Cup 2026? The truth is, nobody knows. Argentina can still defend their crown. France can still prove why they're one of the strongest squads in football. Brazil can still remind the world why they've won 5 World Cups. England can finally end decades of waiting. Spain can complete the rise of a remarkable new generation. Every one of those stories is still possible. But one thing is becoming clearer with every match. This World Cup won't be won by reputation. It will be won by the team that adapts the fastest, handles pressure the best, and delivers when everything is on the line. Because that's how football has always worked. Not the biggest names, not the loudest predictions, just the right team, at the right moment. And perhaps that's what everyone missed. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the 26th Minute for more football documentaries, FIFA World Cup analysis, hidden stories, and predictions on the road to 2026. And now it's your turn. Which team has impressed you the most so far, and which favorite worries you the most? Let me know in the comments, because one thing is certain. The biggest story of FIFA World Cup 2026 may still be waiting to happen.